Hello, is this Justin Gary?
It is indeed. How's it
All
going?
right. I was just telling the stream that this is either the beginning of a friendship for the ages, in which I come down on weekends and sail the seas in your many yachts, or the beginning of a rivalry of the ages. I don't know which yet.
Oh, well, this would be interesting then.
There's no middle ground, sir.
All right, you're the best of friends or the greatest of arch enemies.
Exactly.
I accept.
Exactly. So is there anything you want to talk about before we get started, or should we just, go into some questions? I don't really know what exactly you want to do today.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm here to support you and the stream. I have, some things I definitely want to talk about, but we'll see if they crop up organically. I have maybe some stuff to give away and some things to talk about the future of Solforge, but I want you to, drive what you guys want to hear and what you guys want to talk about. So
nice. Okay. Well, this will be even more exciting than I thought then. I think I got to start with a really hard-hitting, burning question that we all have, and that is, what's your favorite card from set 3?
Oh man, that is a tough one. Let's see, what can I actually talk about?
Yeah, see, that's why it's such a tough question.
That is a tough question. Okay, I will say that what I wasn't planning to preview specific cards, but I will preview one of the core mechanics of set 3, which is actually something I think that your audience is going to be pretty excited about. One of the most common complaints we hear about from our core players is the RNG problem. Oh my god, I didn't draw my level 3, and my opponent drew their level 3s, and that's lame.
I disagree. I don't think anyone ever mentions that.
No, I never hear that? Never once on your stream?
I've never said that. I know that for a fact.
Oh, that's so weird. Oh, well then never mind. I won't talk about this. Okay. I definitely. So what we've done is we've introduced a new keyword called consistent. And cards with consistent, once you level them up, they are guaranteed to be drawn in your top 20 cards over the course of the next level. So no more will you be stuck with your favorite card on those bottom 10 cards. And so these cards are pretty exciting, and one of my favorite cards is one of these consistent cards, which was inspired by my own playing with one of my favorite cards from set 1, Krogius, and not getting to draw level 3 Krogius when I want to. So that I think is going to be a really cool mechanic I think people are really going to like.
Yeah, that's an amazing mechanic. Please tell me the stats aren't like 3-3, 4-4, 8-8.
Yeah, no, I believe me, we love doing fun, wacky things in our game design group, and the consistent Deep Branch Prowler is something that will probably live someday, but that's not how we're rolling in Set 3.
That would be pretty hilarious. I don't understand what you guys are complaining about. You can see your 8-8 every level.
Right, that's a really fun card to do, but not like when you roll out this kind of mechanic. You want to do the exciting parts and do the things that you actually want to draw, and then we'll work on the the funny drawback consistent guys later.
That's cool. That's perfect. I was actually going to ask you about something similar to that, which is basically, I feel like we haven't seen any ultra greedy cards lately. Like, I consider Krogius the single most greedy card in the game. It's basically, you have to somehow work through 2 levels of just awful to get to amazing, and we haven't seen cards like this being made lately. Is it because they do sort of lend to more of the RNG complaints when you're having cards like this, or do you find it's just difficult to balance that really high upside against the low downside?
Yeah, I mean, what it came down to was, I mean, it's been great. I mean, being able to see the Forge Watch event and having Krogius actually, come down to win the whole thing was pretty exciting. We were, as we were doing the initial development of the game, we knew, functionally the way we hide our resource in Solforge is through the leveling system, right? In other games like Magic, and you have to have this sort of mana, and mana is kind of an obscure concept if you're not already invested in trading card games. And so this idea that you can have a bad at level 1, bad at level 2, amazing at level 3 card is very compelling and is a big part of the game. What we've tried to do is make the we saw that we maybe were a little bit too harsh on those costs up front, and so we've made it a little bit less harsh. But I love making the big plays, and I assure you, now that we have consistent, we have gone even further afield on that side. And there are some cards that are like, basically do almost nothing at ranks 1 and 2, and then are just unbelievable at rank 3. But it has consistent, so if you're willing to pay that price, you will get there. So there's some pretty cool things like that, and you will see a lot more cards through the whole spectrum.
Yeah, that's a really cool mechanic. I feel like it even allows you to go farther. And like on level 1, you have to kill one of your own guys and take 10 damage. Level 2, kill 2 of your own guys, take 20 damage. Level 3, so bonkers you can't believe it.
Yeah, so there's a couple of issues with that type of card right now. I have planned solutions for that kind of thing too. But one, obviously, if the drawbacks are bad enough, then all you'll ever do is just discard and level them, and so that's lame. That's not as much fun.
It has to be played to the board.
Right, exactly, and so there will be cards like that someday in the future, but we need to build in some mechanics that like it only levels properly if you actually play it, sure. Which are not going to be in set 3.
Right, that is an interesting idea that could gain the keyword consistent if you do this. That could be a way you do it. You could have it so that if you discard it, you can get to the level 3 version, but it doesn't gain consistent unless at both of the earlier levels you actually play it.
Right.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
All right, so speaking of resources, as you did, I'm a little surprised we haven't seen you guys take advantage of your resource mechanic and do a two activations card yet, or how are we saying that? Two actions card.
Yeah, so that is something we had in our initial playtest file. We had it in set 1 originally, and that mechanic does exist. There's a couple of factors. We're going to get there, and it will for sure enter the game at some point. The balancing of those is very difficult. You're giving up not just a second play, but a second card leveling, and right now the communication about how you can play your cards, like we don't really have like a number of actions thing that's listed on the screen, and it was a little bit, we were a little bit concerned, especially in the initial release, about if I played a card and I saw this other card in my hand, I wouldn't know necessarily why I couldn't play it or what was going on there. So we were kind of holding off a little bit till we had some better in-game UI for how many actions you have left in the turn and how you can spend them. But for sure, that's another space. It's very obviously we're going to go there, and we have the capacity to do so, and we've tested it, periodically in each set.
I feel like you often, not just you, but Stoneblade as a whole, often gives answers similar to that, where it's something like, we're interested in that, but we're kind of worried about what the completely clueless person thinks.
That's right.
And I don't mean this as a negative. I just think it's interesting that goes into a lot of your thought process. Is it because you are thinking something like you kind of divided up the digital card game market in your mind, and you are specifically targeting sort of this market of people who are less experienced with trading card games, and that's a specific market that you've really targeted? Or is it just you want to make sure the game is just equally available to all? What's your thought process?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because I know sometimes that those kinds of answers can be pretty frustrating to core players who are like, hey, I'm not an idiot. I know what's going on. Why are you not giving me the cool things I want to see? And I totally understand that. And at the end of the day, I mean, you guys are our core target market. You guys are our core players, and we love, having you here. And all of us are, I think, similarly to most of our audience here, we've played TCGs forever. We know, this kind of market pretty well. These kinds of games pretty well. And Solforge is easy to jump into, and I'm ready for all the depth and complexity. Give me structures. Give me all kinds of crazy stuff. But the truth is that you want to build these games sort of like a funnel. Like Solforge has a ton of depth into it, a ton of strategy, a ton of different things that are going on, and inevitably, as you release set after set after set, more and more of them, more and more complexity, more and more depth, more and more things are going to be coming through. And so, as a designer, having worked on countless games for many years, I've learned that you have to be very, very conscious of that new player experience. And frankly, the most important thing we can do to support the current player base is to make sure that Solforge keeps growing, and make sure that we have new users coming in, and that when they come in, they're not turned off, and they're not dissuaded from playing, and that they feel like they understand what's going on, and then they become a part of this core user base. So it's something, we pay attention to all the different aspects of this, but it's, if I can achieve the goal of making awesome things for our core player base that don't turn off new players, that aren't confusing, I'm going to go that road, as opposed to doing like adding in more different types of effects and more kind of confusing things is, in my mind, it's kind of a cheat. It's an easy way for me. It's very easy to make games more complex and to add more depth. It's very hard to take it back out and to hide it once it's out there. Yeah. So one of the great things about the digital gaming world is that you can have an on-ramping process, and you can start introducing people to concepts slowly and show them a little bit at a time and kind of get them really in depth. Unfortunately, Solforge doesn't have that tool built in yet. We're working on it. And as we get better, mission-based kind of tutorials and the campaigns and better single-player experience, then we can kind of silo out those new players much better, and then we can kind of make the deep end even that much deeper.
Gotcha. So basically, Solforge is a highway without an on-ramp right now?
That's right. That's well put.
So it's like you're a 16-year-old kid. It's like, all right, get on the highway, and you're like, ah! Yeah, no. Okay. Question for you, though. Can you confirm this theory that I have, that set 1 and set 2 is kind of like, I call it baby Solforge, and what I mean is, like, it's Solforge, but it's not really Solforge. Like, we can't judge what cards are going to look like down the road and all the cool mechanics that we're going to have, because set 1 and 2 are just kind of like, we're programming this game, we're in really early stages, there's all these cool things we want to do, but we just don't have the resources yet to be able to do all the amazing cool things we have in mind. Is that an accurate theory of mine, or am I just insane?
I wouldn't. I'm going to take the middle path of responding to that. I don't think I would not call it, not Solforge or baby Solforge, but we are certainly very constrained by the resources that we have, and we certainly can't do everything we want to do. Even just what I talked about for the last question, having that on-ramping tools, having the tons of stuff there that lets us do that much more, having better in-game communication tools. Right now, for one of the things I really wanted to do with set 3, but we're not going to do, is cards that can trigger during your opponent's turn, and things that would happen in secret kind of spells and whatnot. That stuff's really awesome. It's really cool for a digital game, but we just, again, don't have the greatest tools to communicate that right now. And until we get that tool, it's not worth putting that in there. Structures, same thing. It's a lot of depth, a lot of complexity gets added in when you have new card types in play that don't interact with just the basic creature versus creature combat, but making sure that gets introduced slowly, making sure that the board doesn't look overwhelming, and how you display all that stuff is all very it's a long road to get to that point. So there's a ton of awesome ideas for both individual cards, for mechanics, for stuff that we have had since day one, and many more that crop up, not just from us, but also from our fans. I see people doing new card designs all the time on our forums and that kind of stuff, and all of that stuff is, it takes time. I mean, we are still in open beta, and I know feels like it's taking forever, and believe me, we feel that more than anybody, but there's a long road to go, and there's a lot of really, really exciting pieces of Solforge that have not yet been put out into the public.
Okay. A user had an interesting question that I'm going to phrase a little bit differently.
All right.
So my question is this: with new mechanics coming in, like consistent and other mechanics that I'm sure you guys are going to have, will there be any erratas to old cards? Or say you look at something like Krogius and you go, Krogius is going to be unplayable if you can have a card that's similar to Krogius with consistent. So let's just stick consistent on Krogius. Without talking about that specific, might we see something like that generally? Or are you guys pretty much planning to say, set 1 and set 2 are there, they exist. I mean, if something's way overpowered, we'll tweak it, but we're not generally going to add new mechanics and things like that to old cards.
As a general rule, if we have a new mechanic and we can do a new twist on a card that existed before, we're just going to make a new card. That's a tried and true technique of developing and building trading card games. The old cards that we reserve the right to tweak old cards, and we have, and we are. There are some tweaks that are planned with the release of set 3, but mostly it's about knocking down things that are sort of perceived as too powerful, too dominant, bringing up some cards that are kind of unplayable, but we think are super fun and can be super fun, and so we'll bring those up. A little bit of rebalancing when it comes to like the draft format. We move some things around to make sure that fits and that stays fresh. But our philosophy on changing old cards is, have a light touch. It's worth doing, and it's a tool we have that I've never had before making games, because I always made physical games, and it was always, basically ban a card or deal with it. And so we do use that tool, but it's not going to be any kind of like massive overhauls of previous cards.
Gotcha. I guess closely tied to that, is there going to be any sort of rotation system that you guys have in mind? Because it seems like, especially in the draft format, there's going to get to a point where, at least it feels to me like drafts will become really weird, because you won't be able to really count on anything. Because once the card pool, let's say there's 6 sets, and you have a draft, it's going to be so random of what you can see.
Yeah, I answered this a little bit in my Q&A article up on solforgegame.com, which I encourage people to check out. I'll be writing more of those as often as I'm able. We are rotating out old cards out of the draft format. We are basically planning to rotate most of set 1 out with the select cards we want to keep in. We're making a few changes to the set 2 cards to keep the pool. Right now, we're still talking about exactly where it is, but generally, I think under 300 cards gives you about the right level of consistency, and so you'll be able to count on certain cards, you'll be able to count on certain archetypes. But again, this is another area where we get to do something really awesome that we could never do in a physical TCG. Is we can custom select the draft pool we want and have it be really cool stuff that we want to see. You can make the format change, and like when we do when we did the mono faction drafts as a Weekend Warrior event, people were really excited about that, and it did different stuff. And obviously the legendary drafts we did, I think last weekend, were a big hit, and it feels different. And that's one of the great things we can do, is take the same card pool and make it feel like a totally new game. So we're going to be doing. My goal is to actually rotate and have a lot of different formats, every quarter. But the main format will be rotating out most of set 1. With some select cards we're keeping, and we'll kind of keep rotating out cards to keep the pool under about 300. It's also important to note this does not affect cards in the store. That'll have, you can still buy, if you buy a pack or a legendary chest, you can still get set 1 cards or whatever.
Okay. So associated with that, is that going to happen with Constructed as well, or are you just happy, at least for now, to have all the cards being available?
All the cards available and Constructed is the plan for the foreseeable future. Obviously, we get 2-3 years down the road. The card pool becomes pretty, monstrous. We'll probably create, sort of the equivalent of modern formats that'll only use certain sets. One of the great tools we're working on some more tools to be able to give even more kind of customized tournaments and formats. Our Weekend Warriors have been constrained by technology. We can't do things like an unlegendary tournament or a set 2 only tournament for Constructed right now. But those tools are being built, so we'll have that option and can do a lot of cool things like that. But the goal is all your cards will always be available to play in at least some tournament format. There's no plans for a full rotation out or anything like that.
Let's see. So a couple ways I could go here. I think first let's talk about packs. So you mentioned that packs will still be available and still have set 1. Is there going to be a point where that's not the case? Because it feels like even now, like let's say I buy a legendary chest, it's so random now what you get, because there's 2 sets. When you had a 3rd set, it's just so many cards.
Yeah, that's totally right. So there's a couple of things that we've done to help just this week that we've done to help you guys out and help solve that problem. So one. We have the continued, we'll release new, packs that only contain the newest content. We've been experimenting with other ways to get content to players, like, we did the 2.1, 2.2 packs. We found the community didn't like the structure of those packs with only a guaranteed rare. We did the boosted 2.2 packs, which guaranteed a heroic, which got a better response. And then just now, as you've been involved in, we're now doing the precon decks that have new cards in them that you can just buy and just have available. So it's fixed content purchase. So that helps. That should help. And then in addition, and this is a little bit more subtle, we put you can buy silver for gold now on the store. We tried that as an experiment in one of our sales. We've now made it a more permanent thing. When you do that, you can buy silver for gold, and then you can go and craft whatever cards you want to craft, either by earning your silver from playing, or for those that want to spend money, you can buy the specific cards that you want. And we did that in part as a response to the exact concern you mentioned, to let people just get the cards they want. If there's specific things you want to get, you don't want to buy packs, you don't have to buy packs. We still want to make packs the best kind of deal and the best thing for people that are just trying to build a collection and make them feel good. We've also done things like the monthly discounted chests, which are an insanely good deal, to try to get people access to the things that they might want to have without necessarily having to hope that they just get the right card at the right time.
Okay, yeah, that's really good. I was wondering. First of all, let me say this. I think the new pre-constructed deck distribution method is a really cool idea. I think it's a great deal, getting 2 legendaries for $10, getting a pile of new cards. I think that's a great deal. And I think people who are complaining about it are kind of missing out there. But I can see that some people, let's say you only have $8 that you're going to spend on this set. Now, I don't know why that would be. But I could see someone saying, hey, I was hoping to get a bunch of the heroic packs. We'll say 5. And at least just get a bunch of the commons, rares, and a heroic or 2. And if I get lucky and get a legend, so be it. So are you planning to maybe release like a 2.3 heroic pack alongside of it? Or maybe at a minimum do like a 2.3 pack Weekend Warrior event, so that people have basically different ways to acquire the 2.3 cards?
Right now, that's not the plan. Obviously, again, you can still buy them in regular packs, and they'll be open and available for crafting, I think, in a month. So all those tools are still available. The 2.3, again, this is part of this experiment. We're trying this will be the only these will be the main mechanisms. Also, they'll be available. The cards will be available for card of the day, but we're not planning to do a 2.3 pack like the 2.2 pack. We still have not, the response to the heroic pack was better than the response to the previous version of the pack, but it's not, overall I don't think we weren't super happy with that mechanism. So we're trying different stuff. I mean, this is the reality of this stuff is when it comes to especially building out the economy and how the best way to get cards and the right release rate to give cards. Nobody's done this right yet. Nobody knows how to do this right. We started with the traditional TCG distribution model where you do a big set every quarter, but that really that model was driven by printing costs and printing timelines and shipping stuff, and none of that makes sense in the digital world. And so our goal is to try to kind of get the right amount of content to keep the game fresh, keep the game going, get it to players in a way that they can access. They don't feel like we're not trying. We are trying to make money and keep the game alive, but we're not trying to, grind people out or make it impossible to play. And so we're listening to you guys' response. We're watching the data about what you guys do, and we're looking for ideas. It was your feedback that changed the 2.2 packs from what they were to the heroic version, and it was your feedback that got us to try the starter decks and the precon decks. And so, we are listening. We're trying to make this game has been a community-built game from the beginning, and we are, continuing to develop it in conjunction with you guys. So other ideas and options and things you want to hear and see, we're happy to keep trying.
Gotcha. So you don't think the right approach is to release a game and then 9 months later not have any new cards?
I will tell you, even even that 4-month gap we had between the sort of initial big release of Solforge in August of last year and then the 1.1 or whatever release with drafting and everything was so painful. And we saw a ton of users that just left the game and didn't come back because there was nothing new. So we know we need to release faster than that. And so we've been trying to be good about it. And frankly, I'm thrilled with how the metagame has developed and constructed, with how many different archetypes are viable, with how the new cards are seeing play. So far, I'm pretty happy with all that side of things. And we've just released. I mean, this very week, so many new steps we're taking to make cards easier to access. The silver for gold, the pre-con decks, and things like that. So I'm hoping that that people respond well to it.
Yeah, I feel like those are steps in the right direction. I'm gonna make a plea to you, and I know you're gonna tell me you're insane, but how about we just don't release cards for a while? The metagame is so good right now that I would actually be happy to play this metagame for about 9 months.
9 months, no new content, huh?
Well, I mean, that's an exaggeration. I'm sure in like a month I'd be like, where are the new cards?
Yeah, we'll see what your audience thinks about that idea.
No, but the metagame is really good, and so I'm curious, is this kind of like a stroke of luck or a stroke of genius or somewhere in between? I haven't actually played in a game before where there were like 9 tier 1 viable decks. I don't even know what to do. The metagame is so diverse.
Do you have? We were totally just high-fiving all around the office when we saw the results from the tournament this weekend. I mean, again, I've been doing this a long time, and the team has been doing this a long time. I mean, the amount of card design and development talent that we have at Stoneblade is unreal. And not just. The fact that we've been able to do this level of diversity with the metagame with this small of a card pool, though, none of us really expected, and so we are, we're very happy. I like to think that a good portion of skill is involved in this, but certainly you have to get lucky to get an environment that's good, and so we're really pleased with where it's at. And again, we try to be super responsive. When there's a problem, we try to fix it. Obviously, it's not like we haven't missed before, right? Our first take at the Shapers was a problem. We had to fix it. And we were Patriarch. We had to nerf, and it's still seeing a ton of play. So, it's not that we don't make mistakes. We totally do. But where things are at right now, we're thrilled. And we're keeping an eye on things. We're working hard to make sure that new and exciting archetypes are viable, and that there's new strategies are viable, and there's different kinds of ways to play the game the way you want to. But for right now, yeah, we're pretty pleased.
So this is more of an inside question, and you can choose not to answer it if you want. But are there times where the community is complaining, and they're like, oh, the metagame is so stale and so bad and blah, 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 and you guys are like, you are the stupidest people ever. You're not even playing the best deck. There's a deck that fixes the whole metagame, and you idiots won't even play it.
I would never say anything like that.
You might not use the Tiny Grimes terminology, but no. Are there times when you sort of question the direction of the decks that have been chosen?
There's a phenomenon that happens, and it's inevitable, where there's this sort of groupthink that goes on, and sometimes a deck will become dominant, and everyone will say this deck is dominant and nobody can beat it, and it just becomes like the mentality when we have a deck internally that will just beat the snot out of that deck. And we can't say anything. We're not, we don't believe in doing that. But it happens every now and then. But right now, but the reverse is true too, right? Sometimes the community comes up with decks that we didn't think of. I remember playing in Magic Pro Tours, played in like multiple Magic Pro Tours where you could have built like the Necropotence, like Illusions Donate combo deck that nobody could beat, but nobody did. Nobody thought about it till like a Grand Prix, a little bit later, and just tens of thousands of dollars on the line, and a much bigger audience of people were trying to break that game and didn't. And so it's not surprising that everybody's going to miss something sometimes. And as much as I talked about how talented we all are here, we miss stuff too. So everybody does. So I don't judge anyone for it, but that's the thing that happens.
I look forward to the day where there's a quote really stale and bad meta, and you guys just like send Kibler out to beat people with a better deck. Like, you know what, Kibler? We're tired of this. Just go out in the queue, punk everyone with this deck, and wake them all up.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I think our audience is doing a great job. There's a lot of really cool decks out there. There's a lot of really really awesome things to see. So I'm glad to see it's where we're at, and we'll hope we don't have to send anybody out to punk anybody anytime soon.
All right, so you've talked a couple times about how flexible you guys are, and that's been one of the things that has impressed me most. In all the other card games I play, just with my mentality, I always have to be highly involved and be one of the best players, and so I'm usually close with the company in the know, and I haven't met a company that is as open to feedback as Stoneblade is. So is this a just an absolute priority for you guys, or is this more of survival? What's going on here? Is this a mindset or a survival?
I mean, it's been our philosophy from the beginning. I mean, especially given that Solforge, because of the origins of Solforge, because it's a Kickstarter-backed game, this was built because of the community. Unlike in other worlds and other games, we might have preferred to kind of just like tank for 2 years and do nothing but build the game exactly the way we had it in our vision from the beginning and launch it, and then whatever, that's it. Here, we had to basically had people in from the early stages. We had people giving feedback at every phase of it, and it's informed the design, and it's informed things as we've gone. So it's built into the DNA of this company and of Solforge. On that, I like to think that I have a nice balance of arrogance and humility. I do think we're really, really good at the card game, building a good, fun trading card game. I think that's what's carried us. I think when it comes to building out the digital side, we've been learning as we go, as I mentioned, building out the release schedules and the economies and the way that, how to prioritize one feature versus another and how people are going to react to one feature versus another. This is stuff we're learning as we go. And it's not just that we're inexperienced with this, it's that this whole category is very, very new, right? Building digital games is just not something that's, the digital trading card game world is not very old. So, we're taking that humility and we're bringing it out to this audience, and I hope that and the other side of this, by the way, is that the Solforge user base and like forums and community is the best of any I've ever worked on, and I'm not saying that to like just blow smoke up your butt. I actually, I've been on many different gaming communities, and even when people are criticizing us, most of the time they're doing it in a constructive way, which we love. We do that helps make us better. And so as long as we can have that kind of dialogue and engagement, even coming on here and talking through this stuff, it's really helpful. It's really great to see.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. There are other games where I don't go on the message boards for most games because they quickly become very toxic. Most players will complain about literally every card in the game being, quote, broken, and you just kind of look at that and go, what is wrong with you people?
Yeah.
It seems like the Solforge community is a highly educated in gaming community that they can actually look at cards and not say like some random card is broken. Like someone might say, I think Zemus is broken, and you would say, well, Zemus is really good, right? We can discuss whether he's too good, but at least you're isolating the good cards rather than the bad cards. So that's always a plus.
I actually I wouldn't mind doing breaking this up and doing a giveaway.
I think that's a great idea. What? I don't think the people on the stream want a giveaway though.
No,
I think you should probably just give it to me directly.
Oh well, all right, then we don't have to give it away. That's. I want to know. So I'd like people to tell me which of the different tribes, different kind of creature types groups they would like to see more of. Going forward and supported of going forward, and then Tiny, I'll let you pick randomly from amongst people that put the answers out there, and I will give them a legendary card of their choice.
Wow! Oh my! Let's see. I guess I should set up Nightbot to do that. It'll just take me a moment because Nightbot is not currently.
Gives people a chance to put the answers out there. I'm just curious what people's favorites are.
All right, here we go. So this is going to be a Nightbot giveaway. Nightbot is now monitoring you guys. If you said something immediately, you may want to say something again. Let's see. What is? I want to see dragons personally, and I'm kind of angry.
I am the biggest dragon fan in the office. It is a running gag around the office that every set I'm like, I want more dragons, and. And I get shot down a bunch, but we will definitely see more dragons.
You could make terrible dragons like
I don't
wounded dragon.
If it's like the way I look at it, I feel like dinosaurs are awesome, but they're like the worst dragons. They're just like dragons don't breathe fire and rarely fly. But right. I like dinosaurs too. But yeah, I'm gonna make most. It's really hard for me to make a dragon and not make it awesome.
Yeah, I understand that. You could do like baby dragon, you do wounded dragon, elder dragon. He's like some really super
so old
dragon.
He lost move. That'd be cool. He starts off as like a little baby dragon, then like becomes really powerful at level 2, and then level 3 just like can't move, doesn't really bother doing anything anymore.
That's actually a mechanic that I'd like to see, and that's what I feel like is so cool about Solforge. You can actually make cards that get worse. There's another mechanic I would love to see that is like maybe a board wipe, something really strong, but you get it once, then it becomes a dead card that's just floating throughout your deck with blank text. I don't even know if that's
yeah, we had in set 1, we had a playtest card, we called him Benjamin Button, and he started off really big and just shrunk as you played him, and again, it was the kind of thing that will exist in the game for sure, but we didn't want, when we're releasing the sort of core mechanic of Solforge, the most fun thing is like your card's getting better, and so it'll be a rare type of twist to do cards getting worse.
That seems like a legendary card to me.
Yeah. Well, see, the legendary cards it's tough because you're like, we only get so many legendary slots every set, and then have your legendary card be a card that's like pretty cute but will not appeal to the majority of players is tough.
I feel like that's like half the legendaries, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, like, Soul Drinker is pretty dang cool and pretty dang terrible right now.
Dude, you should have seen Soul Drinker. We nerfed that one at the last minute. It was a beast. It just had like much, obviously more normal stats, and it was just dominating. It was the best like removal and creature at the same time. So we kind of nerfed that. We nerfed the hell out of that guy at the end.
Yeah, like if you had given him like 3, 5, and 7 health, he'd be
exactly.
unbelievably good.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, whatever. So we maybe overdid it, but we had to bring him down.
Yeah, I can understand that. The cool thing, and this is what I keep telling people, I call it the oh man, now I can't remember the Frozen Solid issue. Like, Frozen Solid was maybe the worst card in the whole game. You release Flamebreak Invoker, Frozen Solid is an absolute staple now in that deck. And that's what's so cool about a card pool like this, where we're not having constant rotations. At any moment, a new card could come out, and suddenly that completely dead, awful card not only has a role, it might have a major role.
Yep.
So we're having some pleas to unnerf Soul Drinker. There we go. A Weekend Warrior tournament in which we have the old Soul Drinker stats.
Bring back Soul Drinker.
Everyone gets one old Soul Drinker in the Weekend Warrior. But then you're stuck with it as the regular one in your collection. So it's kind of a give and take. I like it, though. That's pretty good. All right, let's do the giveaway. If you do want to win, you do need to be a follower of the stream. Feel free to unfollow immediately after the stream if you so desire, so I'll give you another minute if you hadn't followed yet. I don't really want to see the sad faces as Nightbot goes, "That is not a follower! You may not give to him." Because I don't have control over the stream. It's Nightbot's stream. I just kind of do what he says. All right. There's a little bit of lag, so we have to actually give them a minute.
No problem.
What's the tribal trait that you want to see? I suppose it's just dragons, but is there another one that you'd be interested in, like human or something?
Humans we are going to have more humans. Not as much in set 3, but in future sets. Humans are not super exciting to me. I get to see humans every day. I prefer to switch it up a little bit. I'm a big fan. I mean, I've been a huge fan of plants, and we've been pushing them for a little while. So I'm glad to see them coming into their own. And there's some more exciting plants for sure in set 3. And obviously dragons are awesome. I think Forge Guardians are awesome. They may or may not be getting something in set 3.
Whoa, that sounds like a spoiler.
That's probably enough of my personal preferences.
What about, as my grandpa calls them, donkeys with horns?
Donkeys,
unicorns.
Horns, the unicorns.
My daughter would like Solforge way more if you guys would like steal Twilight Sparkle and call her like Sparkly Knight and have a purple unicorn in the game.
Okay, well I will keep that in mind.
Believe me, she would play Solforge day and night.
Day and night, just for the one purple unicorn?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if she could get it. But the problem is, like, my daughter will only play on my account because she is a legendary snob. Like, she doesn't build good decks. She just builds legendary decks. And she's like, "Daddy, I want to build a new deck, and it will be 30 legendaries, and it'll be terrible, and she will love playing it."
Yep. Well, I will work on a purple unicorn.
There you go. All right.
I see Turkis 873. I don't know who that has a good point about humans being cross faction. One of the things that we have been focused on is looking at building good cross faction tribes so that there can be more interesting synergies between different factions and seeing how we could cross pollinate them some. So that's a totally good point and is a good design component we're working on.
All right, let's go ahead and roll this giveaway. Giveaway goes to. All right, Nightbot's taking his time. He's really mulling it over, and Nightbot seems to have not chosen a winner.
Not chosen a winner.
Yeah, it's just blank now. Well done, Nightbot. Well done, sir. All right, let's try that again. Looking up to make sure one time he chose 3 winners.
So. Like, why not Zoidberg?
All right, here we go. We're gonna try again. All right, the winner is Zrandals. I don't know. Zrandals, do you want the giveaway or can we re-roll it? Yeah.
Nightbot's rigged.
People don't really like when people who have everything win giveaways. It's just kind of an unsatisfying thing. So I'm looking. Randall says, "Don't try again." Okay.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
I'm saying try again. Randall's can get the reward. Give it to somebody else also.
Okay. Here we go. Trying it again. This time it hopefully won't be Randall's. This time it's Kit. It's not going to be Kit. Sorry, Kit. I don't know what's going on.
This is I don't like your randomizer. I got to be honest.
No. Here we go. I've never heard of this person. XJax X13. Congratulations, sir.
All
Sorry,
right.
Kit.
So I think I have David has been watching the stream and he has promised to handle communication to figure out which legendary you want and granting it. It is a fair amount of work, and I want to say thanks to David. He's actually just awesome, and I know a lot of people there get to work with him and communicate with him, but he helps make sure the community is supported and that the game runs properly and basically is the glue that holds Solforge together.
I'd like to do a quick shout out to David too. He has been really amazing. What he's really good at is handling people when they kind of lose their cool. He never responds in kind, which I think is a difficult trait to come by. Usually if someone pushes hard enough and is enough of a jerk, you just have that one moment that you regret, and he just doesn't. He always remains cool and collected and handles bad situations very well.
He is one of the younger people on our team, and he is one of the most mature. It's definitely been a great asset having him as part of the community, leading the community here.
Yeah, I've been impressed. All right, let's see. Let's get back to some questions if we can. I don't know. Do you have?
Yeah, I got more time. I got another 20 minutes or so, and then.
I've got a question for you that we haven't seen yet, and I'm guessing the answer is going to be it's coming in the future. But I feel like you guys are saying to the community, free money from you guys? No. No, we don't want your money. No, keep your money. Because it feels like you could be doing the sort of, I call it the League of Legends system. I don't know what the actual name of it is. Having all these microtransactions, like different card backs, different card borders, there just feels like there's so many little things you could do that would allow you guys to make a lot of money, which is really all of our goal. We all want to see Stoneblade make $1 bajillion.
Hooray! We can all agree on that. That would be awesome. Yeah. So the challenge is, as with all of the things that we do, it's trade-offs, right? We have so many things that we've done, both things that we promised during the Kickstarter originally, things that we've figured out we want to do since then, things that we want to do to support the current player base, things that we want to do to bring in new players, things that we want to do to monetize. Right now, our top priorities are to, make the game work smoothly, to build that on-ramp onto the highway. I know everybody is waiting on player-to-player, trading system and some, ways to get cards from one account to another, and building, the cool cosmetics and things to sell. While it's something I want to do, it's hard for me to prioritize that over all the other things I listed, having a campaign, having all that stuff. So it's a part of the plan, it's a part of the roadmap, but I feel like, and I believe the community feels like all of those other things got to come first. And we are a small team. I mean, I don't know what people's impression is of like, so, we're talking about comparing us to, a company like Blizzard doing Hearthstone. They worked on that game for 5 years and spent, $6 million before they even put anything to market. And we had a year from the Kickstarter and a team that's fractionally small, and so it's very hard. And we have our engineers are fantastic; they're doing a great job, and supporting the game on all these different platforms is incredibly difficult. And making updates that can kind of keep the game running on all of them is incredibly difficult. And so we're doing our best to keep content coming and to keep new features coming. And I'd love to do stuff like cool new card backs, customized avatars, customized cool, all kinds of neat stuff that you can show off and have, and that will make us money. But it's probably not coming this year.
Okay, it's interesting. I think, like, if I were to design a game, I think for me I would prioritize it a little bit more highly, just because I feel like it's free money, and it's it's kind of a selfish decision, right? Like, I'm going to make these microtransactions that are going to make me money and make slightly less cards. I think it's probably better for the community, the approach you guys have taken. I just worry that you're being too unselfish, Justin Gary.
Oh, stop it! No, I mean, I think it's what I like to call the enlightened self-interest. I think it's making sure that the current community is happy and making sure that more people come to Solforge and have a great time at playing Solforge. I believe is in the best interest of the company too. And so those are our top priorities. And the other stuff's coming. It will get here. But I think if we can just grow this community, and I think that we'll be fine.
All right. You mentioned trading, so now I'm going to try to nail you down on trading.
Yeah. I figured
that was a mistake.
I opened up that door.
You reminded me. So, what's going on with trading? First of all, what is trading? Okay. Do you have a vision of trading that is like idyllic that you want, and is that different from the reality that we might see in the near future?
Yes.
All right, so let me start here. Will there be gifting to friends in the near future?
So let me say this. I know this we've been particularly cagey on because we didn't know, even during the Kickstarter we were kind of vague about, is it an auction house, is it player to player trading, is it gifting, is it what's going on, because we weren't really sure, and we weren't sure what the right answer was. And it wasn't until really the beginning of this year that we kind of have a vision for this that we really like. I don't want to say what it is, and I'm not trying to hide this from the community, but because I don't know that we can execute on it yet. And once I know we can execute on it, I promise I will talk about it. I will put out all the details. What will happen, though, is we will not get all of the features all at once, right? Because I believe this is the right way to build things when you have a small team, is try to do things in small sprints, get the core functionality out there, and then improve on it based on feedback and add the bells and whistles, right? Like we did this with crafting, where you have the ability to craft, but we don't have it. It's kind of hidden in the deck builder, and we don't have a craft all button. Or sorry, it's forging. But those are all things we want to add and make it more clean, make it better, and give you more flexibility. But the key is to get the core feature out first, and then evolve it from there. So that's what we are targeting to have this year, before the end of the year, is have some core feature that lets players get cards from one account to another. But I apologize for being cagey on this, but I think we lose a lot by me saying something and then us not being able to deliver it. And so I think people will be very happy with this approach. It's very creative, and it has it takes advantage of what we can do as a digital game. But that's all I'm going to say about it for now.
All right, I think the cagey approach is better, because I remember early on in the Stoneblade streams, people would ask very long distance questions, and they would get very specific answers that have proven to be wrong, which is, to me, was obvious at the time when people are asking these, like, in a year and a half, are you going to have this? And it would be very specific, and Kibler would be like, yeah, sure, we'll have that. It's so dangerous to answer that because you don't really know how everything's going to progress. what change you're gonna have to make. So I think KG answers are probably wise in this kind.
Dude, if I the amount of like humble pie that I've had to eat on our Kickstarters of just like, oh yeah, totally, we'll have this by the end of the year, no problem. We'll have this, and then we'll do this thing and that thing, and it's like, oh, actually, this is really, really hard, and there's a lot of little details, and it takes a lot longer than you think. And you know, I've gotten a little bit of solace in looking through a bunch of other Kickstarters and seeing many that are way worse off than we are, but it's not. I've learned the lesson to be the KG when it comes to things that we don't know for sure we can do, and it's unfortunate because I want to share these ideas. I think they're cool and I think people will like them, but I'm going to hold off.
You know what? It's okay. During one of our many cruises on your yachts, you can tell me then in private. It's okay.
Okay, good plan.
So I'm wondering about something. You may not be able to answer this as well. But are you guys still sort of looking at a secondary market when you're thinking about these sort of, distribution models and trading, or are you just trying to find a way to get people cards in the best way possible?
More the latter. I know there are some people that are kind of speculating and trying to, get a secondary market value, and I'm not saying that won't happen. But that is not our priority, right? We're not trying to get people to make money on Solforge or to build a whole secondary market sales system. That's not our goal. That's not what we're trying to support. What we're trying to do is support the community, support the kind of world where, like, me and my friends want to play and I want to give them some extra cards, or I want to be able to transfer stuff around. That kind of stuff is more important to us than and some of the stuff we talked about earlier about, like, hey, I want to be able to build a specific deck or get a specific card and it's too hard for me and I don't feel like I can do it. I don't want to just buy packs. We're trying to build tools that let people play the game, that let people play with their friends, that let people bring their friends into the game and give them cards and things. And so that's kind of more important to us than this secondary market value. I mean, frankly, right now with the way that the Forge system works, right, that puts a very hard cap on the secondary market variation that can happen on anything, right? There's just a certain amount that anything can be. If we wanted to do a secondary market, then we would have to pull the Forge system down, or at least fade things out of it, which I feel like hurts more players than it helps. Mm-hmm. I'm open to community thoughts on this and how people feel, but that in my mind it's more about supporting the community, giving them access to cards than it is letting people speculate.
Yeah, I thought that would be your answer, and I kind of hoped it would be your answer. The only problem is I already quit my job. Now I'm going to have to go beg for it back.
I quit my job doing full-time Solforge.
That was the plan, man. That was the plan. I was just going to sell cards all day. And this is a serious question. And for me, this is a high-impact question. Will packs have set 3 cards in them? Like, I was really surprised that you guys kept sort of packs I had earned previously were getting the new cards in them. Is this going to continue? Will the packs I have earned have set 3 in them or not?
Yeah, so this is something we've also been kind of watching. With the so we had the choice of, like, okay, do we have to make new packs, like general purpose packs, every single time we release new content, so that the old packs you have only have the old stuff, and then there's new packs for every time? Or do we, and the value to us as a company as well, it encourages you to have to buy new packs when we release new stuff? Or do we just let it ride and let people, if you have old packs, great, you can open up the new cards? And we felt like the simpler and more community friendly approach was the way to go. We're watching. Again, we're seeing how much people are hoarding packs, how much it affects people buying or not buying new stuff. But for right now, and for set 3, we're gonna go with the same policy we did before. And so, if you have packs in your account, when set 3 releases, you can get set 3 cards out of them.
I think that's a really good plan, because especially if you're going to release pre-con decks,
right.
There's really no reason for me to go into the constructed queue right now, other than to have fun. But I can have fun in Solforge many ways. Whereas if you tell me, hey, you can go in the constructed queue, spend all your tickets, and you're going to get the potential to get set 3 cards, suddenly my interest is piqued much more, and you will see me in the queue a lot more than you have been recently. So I think that's kind of exciting news right there.
Yeah, I think that's it seems like that's what the community wanted, and I think it'll work out best for everybody. And as we release more and more cards, that it just letting people feel like their packs have value and that they get to decide when they want to open them is the right way to go. I'm not committing that we'll never change that, but for right now, that's the plan.
Okay. Another selfish question, because apparently that's who I am. Solforge ladder. Now, Kaleri has a ladder that's actually been doing a really good job, and I feel like is a great stopgap measure. And I'm sure you guys have some idea of wanting to implement some ladder at some point. Do you have a timetable or any sort of ideas of how you plan on implementing such a thing?
We don't have a timetable on it right now. It is I love the way that the community has stepped up to fill in the gaps for things that we know we want. The large scale external to client tournaments like Forge Watch events, the ladder. This is stuff we want to do. Right now, we're all pretty enamored with the League of Legends kind of ladder system and things like that. And I think probably we'll be somewhere in that ballpark about how we execute. But that's that's a post everything else we've talked about building, so that's going to be in 2015 most likely.
Gotcha. Is there any thoughts about displaying any sort of ELO? I'm guessing no. It seems like all games have kind of gone away from this. Maybe you can expand on why that's the case for people who really want to have something like that.
Yeah, I'll do that. The other thing I'm going to do is because I'm going to probably have to go in about 5 minutes or so. I'm going to do another giveaway. This time I'm going to shamelessly pimp my own social media. You follow me on at Justin_Gary on Twitter and send me a tweet with hashtag Solforge Legendary, and I will randomly select someone to get a legendary of their choice near the end of the stream.
Ooh, I like that.
The question. Sorry, now I forgot it. Now I was too busy.
What was the question? The question was ELO.
So this is actually something. This is another thing that I was when I was a player. I was like, yeah, obviously, I want to see people's ELO rating. I want to know where I'm at. I want my opponent to know where I'm at. I want to know where they're at. And we've seen in every major game that's ever tried this, they pretty much always pull it back. As Magic Online did this, League of Legends did this, and the reason is that it is just an invitation for griefing. It is whenever you see someone that's better than you, and there are a lot of times people will just concede and not want to play. When you see someone that's worse than you, and there's often a berating that happens, or there's people will, if they get beaten by someone with a low ELO rating, it creates a lot of hostility, and it's considered a very negative experience, and it's just universally just kind of understood amongst designers that this is going to create a negative feedback. Now, you being able to see your own rating and being able to see where you go in that, and having kind of ladder systems where I can see, when I'm moving up the ladder and I'm in a match that's close, having ELO ratings and stuff like that is great. So systems where you're only paired against someone that's close to you and you're only seeing kind of progress, those, and seeing your own progress, those are great. But the sort of publicly displayed ones are just have more negative. They do more harm than good.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree. As much as I want to see my ELO and I want to see everyone's ELO, I think I've seen very clearly it doesn't work all that well.
Yeah, it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs. Right now it's not as big a deal in Solforge because we don't have any real communication systems in client. But even in the Steam chat, it would create a problem. And as we create more systems to communicate in client, it'll get worse. And so it's just not a good plan.
Yep, I can agree with that. So the Weekend Warrior events have been really popular. What's your favorite one so far, and do you play in them at all?
My favorite one, I play in most of them. I really enjoyed the Legendary event from this past weekend. The Legendary draft queues. I think building around like that one Legendary is really cool and created a very different feeling experience, much more so than I even expected when we came up with the format mostly because we thought it'd be a great, people would love getting the free Legendary, basically a really, really efficient Legendary, but it actually created a lot of cool diversity. I really enjoyed the Phantom draft queues where you just played one round because it basically gave us a lot of. I love the drafting part itself, and I tried a bunch of different strategies and a bunch of different stuff and kind of rapid fire gaming. And I'm looking forward to, we're building out the tools to be very soon, well, whatever, I won't say very soon because it's never as soon as I want it to be, but we're building out the tools to be able to do more customized constructed formats.
Gotcha.
Where we can do things like, whatever, an unlegendary event, or an event where you build a 20 card deck, or events where you do different kinds of things that change it up and make you think about the game in different ways, are my favorites by a lot. And so those are kind of the Weekend Warriors I prefer. And it's been great. We've gotten a great response from the Weekend Warriors. It's really neat to be able to kind of create that events and different things that people can try out and see what people like and see what people don't.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Is there a really cool one that you want to spoil for us that's coming in the future?
I think I said a bunch of things that we're working on that is a pretty cool cool process.
I agree with that. I don't think you have enough time for this. I was going to ask you today if you would design a card with me that would try to bring Gox to his rightful place as the best card in the meta.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well, I like the idea of doing a community card design. It's true that I don't think I have a ton of time today, but why don't I commit to coming back for a community card design event?
Okay, I like that. And keep in mind, so the reason why I like Gox so much is he adds consistency to your deck and to your draws, and so every single metagame, the first card I try to use is Gox, and he rarely has a spot, and so we need to design a card that has an archetype for him to shine always, and not Drix. Oh, not Drix.
Not Drix. Don't like Drix, but like Gox.
Yes, there we go.
Got it. Okay. All right. I am running out of time, so I'm gonna do a giveaway here. It's on everybody that did tweeted me at Justin_Gary at hashtag Solforge Legendary. Let me take a look here, and we'll roll the die.
I hope I win. Worst stream ever. The host wins.
The winner is Rich Minoski at Cheese Rules.
That's awesome. That's actually my Twitter account.
Is that really your Twitter account?
No, not at all.
I was like, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense at all. All right, so congratulations. We will once again make David do the actual hard work of fulfilling that promise that I made.
Just got word he wants a Flow Steel prototype.
All right, Flow Steel prototype it is.
You should do terrible legendary giveaway day.
Terrible legendary giveaway. Only the worst of the legendary.
You may choose one of the 4 following legendaries. All right, well, Justin, thanks so much for coming on and for being really open and only evading a few questions that I knew you would have to evade just out of common sense. And it's been really great having you on, and we look forward to bringing you back to help me break the once and future king Gox.
It has been my pleasure, and I look forward to that also. All right, have a good one.
All right, you too.